Hi, this is Ms. Feldman Tentori, and this is Lecture 10 on Social Media Strategy for the eBusiness course. We are looking specifically at social media for business. I'm sure you're all regular social media users daily, if not right as you're listening to this, but the angle that we're going to take in this assignment and in this course is how should business use social media. So in assignment 1, you looked at an existing business and no doubt they were already using social media. So those of you who did really great in-depth ICT analysis has looked at which channels they were using, why, and made some further recommendations on which they should add and what they should do differently and why. This new business that you've created for assignment 2, so it's not too much the same as the real business, you get the chance to decide which channels they should be using. So regardless of what they're originally using, which of course you can refer to, this is where you're writing a strategy. So in your assignment, which is on Blackboard, you have a template that I've used to make it really, really easy for you. It's just a cut and paste template that you can put into your report. And you'll see there it's template for digital marketing strategy. I've already listed off the tools, whether you will use yes or no, and then a column for information, justification, and frequency. So let's just talk through a few of those channels. First of all, why am I saying in one moment social media and one digital marketing strategy? Digital marketing includes everything. So also SEO, it also relates really closely to the digital marketing goals and the website. Whereas social media is more specifically the actual tools that you'll decide to use. You should have goals. You should have written goals already for your website. Some companies will use this as a broader goal that will relate to their social media. Others will be more specific and have social media goals for each channel or in general. So it's up to you how you do that. But these are the top 10 tools that I discovered over nearly 10 years now of consulting through my business, Zesty.com. What's been interesting in that time is that the tools have changed a little, but not a lot. And generally, the actual digital marketing strategy has remained pretty similar. It comes down to how much time the business has got, what their goals are, what their budget is, and where their target market are. So back to the personas and the business model canvas that you did. Where are your customers? And of course, you should be there. So these are in no real order, although Facebook is of course one of the most popular, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google+, which I have deliberately left in there we'll talk about in a minute. So Facebook is number 1. Those who are aiming for a higher mark in the report and to do really well when they're working in business and in their internship and especially running your own company perhaps in the future, you will do your research. You will figure out what the statistics are for each social media tool, which kind of demographics, where your target market are and which type of tools they're using. Throughout most of the world, people are using Facebook. So this is one tool that you should definitely be considering as a must for your business. So I would suggest that almost every business has at least a Facebook page. You can look at it one way, like Facebook is giving away free real estate. It's almost like a free advertisement to set up a page. If you don't use it, you should at least redirect people elsewhere, like have on your page, like come and see us at our website. We don't use this page regularly. Others post on it daily, some weekly. So that's what that right-hand column there is for in your strategy. How often are you going to use Facebook? And yeah, who's going to run it in your business is another thing you need to think about. Some business owners love using social media. Others really don't want anything to do with it. Some want to outsource it, in which case you should think about the budget. One thing you need to ensure is that businesses, one of the biggest mistakes they make is setting up a profile, which is your individual page for a business. That is an absolute big no-no. That's an older version of my personal profile. That's a group that I was being involved in, and some businesses use groups to bring people together. I'm sure you're familiar with all these things, but the thing that you should be using for a business is a page. They're fairly easy to set up for a business. Most of the businesses you analysed would have had one. So in that column there for Facebook, will you use yes or no? That's your decision, but you need to justify it in the right-hand column with a bit of information about how you would run that channel. Twitter is an interesting one. Some businesses use it extensively, some not at all. I would say that each business should at least, again, have an account there so that they can communicate with the customers that may not be on other channels. It's a decision for the business. Again, in your strategy, you decide yes or no. If you're not going to use a social media tool, particularly these major ones, you should put in your strategy, no, you're not going to use it, and justify that as well, not just skip it completely. Twitter is very good for direct media and high-level access, and this is just one example of where I was able to connect with Neelie Kroes, who was at the time the Vice President of the EU Commission leading the digital agenda. Now, I would never have been able to connect with her via Facebook or perhaps even LinkedIn, but on Twitter, she's favorited one of my tweets. We didn't actually have a conversation, but what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that there's a lot of high-level celebrities or journalists and people using Twitter that actually run their own accounts or have someone close to them doing so, where you can reach them a lot more easily than on any other social media channel. So again, do your research and see if it's relevant for your business and for your target market. LinkedIn is business networking, so thinking about your business, is it worthwhile? The staff all having a profile on LinkedIn, business to business might be really worthwhile. Perhaps having a page here or a group for your business as well. So for example, here's my professional profile, but there's also, I haven't got a screenshot of it, but there's also pages for each company if you want to set one of those up. YouTube, again, I would say a must for the majority of businesses because it's a place for them to host their video content that you can then, for example, embed on your website. Now, when I set up this top 10 through my business Zesty a few years ago, I've deliberately kept what I had as the original to show you how things change. Now, back then, YouTube was the one that almost everyone uses, and it's still hugely popular and it's owned by Google. But now there's others popping up like Vimeo, for example, that might be a better fit for the business. So you can have a look into whether your business should use YouTube, and you can justify it there, say yes, no, or maybe suggest an alternative. Google Plus, like I said, left it in there. I believe it either doesn't exist or very few people use it. Google, as huge as they are a little late to the party with the social networking. And by the time that Google Plus launched, most people were pretty well embedded on using Facebook and really didn't want another social media channel to talk to their friends. However, Google is pretty powerful. You're doing the online course, the Google Digital Garage, and that covers a lot of the tools that a small business should be using. For example, using the location services for physical businesses. Hangouts was one thing that was offered by Google, which has now disappeared. And this is also left in here as a reminder that social media strategy may change. Some tools, particularly the free ones, may change while you're running your business. So you need to stay on top of things, keep an eye on what's happening with social media, and the channels could potentially change. So there's some of the main big ones. There's another 5 that I've put in my list. Mad Mimi is a brand for email marketing. There's plenty of other brands. MailChimp is another big one. E-newsletters are an interesting one. There's a whole lesson on it in the Google Digital Garage. And although not everyone loves e-newsletters, I know I certainly have way too many in my inbox, it's still a highly effective way of keeping in touch with and marketing to your customers. and gathering email addresses for people who are interested. They do have to opt in, meaning it's actually illegal to send e-newsletters to people unless they have specifically said they want to receive them. So keep that in mind. SurveyMonkey is one of online survey tools. I also use Google Forms, just asking people what they think. You may forget that as part of your social media strategy or your digital marketing strategy, but asking your customers and running polls, you may not get a huge amount of information. Of course, only a small percentage will answer you, but this also goes back to stuff that you'll be learning in the Google workshops about just asking customers what you think is a great way to gather information and make business decisions. I put Hootsuite in here to make you think about business perspective of social media. It can get a bit hard to manage all these channels. So Hootsuite, and there's many others out there that offer social media dashboards. And that's a way where a business can manage a number of channels like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, all from one platform. Now, there's pros and cons to this. It usually costs something as well, and what's called the APIs, or the way to connect with Facebook and Twitter and the other big social media channels through a dashboard, can change sometimes. So sometimes it works fine, sometimes it'll be blocked. So there's pros and cons. I haven't used Hootsuite for a few years, but I used to quite like it. And at the time they had a Hootsuite Academy where I did all the online training. But for the purpose of this assignment, you don't have to go into a lot of depth here. I just wanted to highlight to you that there's tools like this out there. I'd love to hear from any of you who go to internships and do digital marketing, because once you get your foot in with the big companies that use digital and have in-house digital, they use a lot of these tools. I personally don't have a lot of access because they're expensive, and I wouldn't use it for the small businesses I work with, but big brands will use social media dashboards. There's Pinterest is one that's maybe not as popular anymore. Again, left it in there because I said tools change. I won't mention the very visual, very popular social media tool. I'm sure that some of you will realize has taken the place of, well, not exactly taken the place, but kind of taken a lot of interest in users away from Pinterest. And I've left some other in there in your digital marketing strategy. So there might be some tools that I've not mentioned that you might recommend that your business does. So please feel free to do that in your assignment. WordPress. So lucky last, but the most important. All of your social media strategy and your digital marketing strategy should link back and be two-way traffic to your WordPress blog, your WordPress site and your WordPress blog. I will do a separate screencast and we'll talk in the workshops about the difference between a website and a blog, and I also touched on that in a previous online lecture. But if you do some research yourself on digital marketing strategy, the majority of digital marketeers, myself included, will advise their clients that their WordPress or other website that they use should be the home base. You have a lot more control over that than you do over all the other social media channels, but they should all be working together. So that rounds up some help on your digital marketing strategy. If you have any questions, as always, pop into the Facebook group or the live workshops, and we look forward to continuing to help you out with your assignment, but not to focus purely on the assignment, because it's also interesting to learn these things for your future career. So hope that's interesting and look forward to talking to you soon.